Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Challenge All-Stars 4 RHAP podcast for episode 8. I am Brian Cohen. With me, as always, is my co-host, Ali Lasher. Ali, how are you?
In the words of Caitlin Glancy from the Facebook group, KD Squad celebrating tonight. Very excited in the Cam Defenders Club.
It's a big night for Cam. It's a big night for both of them. They're two-thirds or two of the six of the star holders, Cam and Leroy. They're coming for you.
Oh, I thought you were going to say 2 of the 6 members of the Cam Defenders Club is me, Cam Leroy, Caitlin Glancy.
Also, maybe that as well. Could be that. I don't know. I don't know if the Facebook groups are treating Cam, but probably not great.
Yeah, I will say the vibe, I think, of like the audience is the tone has shifted, but I'm trying to find my loudness. Another great quote. And stay hype. Although I do think this was, sort of a weak episode. But I'm excited.
For Cam or just show?
The show.
Okay.
It was a great episode for Cam, of course.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. I thought this was maybe the best episode of the season. I thought it was a fantastic episode. I don't know. I was riveted the entire time. I love the daily. I know there was controversy about that. I love how it played out. I thought the elimination was kind of fun. The voting was fun. It was the suspense. I don't know. I was into this episode.
You're on an island. For anyone not listening to the video podcast, my favorite listeners are the ones who listen and don't watch, but I did just make excellent use of the video medium. Also great use, finally, for anyone who was watching the actual episode, or sorry, who was listening to us last season, I did 6 months later put a table together so I don't have to blur my background. So wanted to show that off. That's amazing because I think, voice of the Facebook group seems to be, and my voice, again, I'll find my loudness and say kind of neutral to weak challenges. I think it's not amazing when somebody can orchestrate like what happens a la Fessel and Anissa winning whatever challenge that was. For some reason, I remember, they break the challenge like a la the coconut chop in Survivor. I think we want to see someone have a chance, even if Cara's not your favorite, it's a real gang up. She's kind of got no inroads and then a very, very just clear, we're marched to a very obvious kind of proceeding through the episode. That's my negative take.
So my counter to that is I think through the orchestrating of the daily, there were some key people, including Cara, that I feel like made very interesting decisions about how this was going to play out, if they wanted to go along with it, and then the ramifications of it. First of all, with Cara, the narrative that this was completely out of her hands in some way is true. Yes, she was never going to win this daily, but I think she played this horribly wrong. If her whole thing was, I'm here to save my star at all costs, there was a way to do that, and that was to lose and go against Cam and keep your star, knock out your fiercest rival. And that's not even something she would have had to manipulate in the bottom group. That's what Cam wanted. She wanted to go against Cara, and she could have made that happen if Cara just went along with it.
It's an excellent point. I think it's certainly what Laurel wanted. I think Cam did a lot of puffing of her chest of yeah, I'd go against Cara. Sure, I would go against Cara if I had to. I think if Cara actually is an option in the bottom, we might revisit that. And that's not a dig on Cam. Maybe I'm projecting because I certainly would. I would not want to go against Cara to take Cara's star. But do you think that's the right move? Is her keeping her star that important to which she should risk going against a strong competitor like a Cam just to protect it when the consequence really is, okay, she loses her star and she's got to throw herself in anyway?
I think it's worth it because now that she's flying solo without a star, she has to win a daily to get her star back. She's in the middle group. She obviously can't be voted in. Now there's no chance they're going to vote Cara into elimination to try to win the star back. So now her only chance of getting the star is to win a daily. And I think for her, why not take the big swing and just knock out Cam in one fell swoop? I think if she does that and it goes back to the house with Cam out, the onus of the house of we have to steal Cara's star, I think shifts a little bit because Cam's not there leading the charge. No one else is really openly leading the charge that really has the balls to lead the charge to go after Cara like that. And if you get Cam out, I think things open up a lot better for Cara, and she's able to like pull Jay in more, get like people that would are like teetering where they want to go, side with Cara, and I think she can find a way to keep her star throughout the rest of the game.
So that's interesting. I do think while Cam was sort of leading the charge initially and certainly going with this and certainly the one willing to get her hands dirty, I think Laurel is still a big thorn in Cara's side if Cam sticks around, and then, you know, Nicole as well, by proximity and grudges. But yeah, I agree that the only likelihood of Cara getting put into the elimination by any grouping in the middle group, unless it's just maybe Adam alone, the only way Cara gets into an elimination is if she's holding a star when she's in the bottom group. The house is not going to let her go in.
Mm-hmm.
But I just do feel like, I mean, we have a single elimination this week. I have not crunched the numbers. I just have always felt like they're not going to walk this format straight to the final, and there's going to be a shot up for grabs, that I would rather try to defend my star than go in against someone like Cam, because I do think Cam in the right elimination, maybe even in this elimination, could beat Cara. And I think holding a star and just defensively going into elimination when you don't know the rest of the format is a risk. That said, it would have been an awesome risk, and maybe it was the right risk. It's like I'm more like on Avery's side, where I'm like, I would be too afraid to ever send myself in, and then the time would pass me by. But I don't fault Cara for trying to make arguments with Nicole. I thought her arguments were good. We'll pick apart those later. I thought Cara was making a lot of sense, and so she shouldn't have to necessarily go in. People should be willing to hear her out more than they are. I think that's where like the personal stuff kind of gets in her way.
Yeah, no, that's all totally fair. That's totally fair. And I can understand the criticism of I know a lot of people, rightly so, probably don't like when a daily can be orchestrated like this. But for me, I don't mind it, the fact that this has been the only time it's able to happen like this season. Like it's a kind of a one-off thing. And I don't mind there being situations through the season where the strategic power players can put their thumb on the scale and get things to happen that they want. And it's up to the rest of the house, because there's no way this is a good thing for everyone. Like this has to be a bad thing for some people. And I think some people are going to look back on this and be like, damn, we really shouldn't have let we shouldn't have let Cam just like pick and choose the order and pick and choose who won and get her star. And now we're kind of left scrambling. And I think the person who's most going to regret it, who I think could have had a voice to stop it, is Veronica, because she's now the one outside with Cam and Nicole having stars who are backed by strong people in the house. Obviously, Nicole has Laurel fighting for her and wanting a star herself. Cam has Leroy fighting for her. And Veronica's kind of like floating on her own. And she's now become the most likely person to have a star stolen again, probably by someone like Laurel. I think she should have been the one that wanted Cara in the house as that shield. I know you were hinting at it, but like the argument that Cara was making to Nicole, I think was done too late. And it should have been done to Veronica before the daily started, being like, Veronica, you want me in the house, want all the attention on my star, because otherwise some of the stronger voices are going to be looking to you to get your star, and then you're probably not going to get it back.
And I think the problem there for Cara is I don't think she anticipated this, and kudos to Laurel and Cam for kind of orchestrating this. You don't know that you're going to have such an opportunity until you get to the daily. So they seemingly saw it and very quickly implemented a plan. Yeah. And I think, we're getting some revisionist history maybe from like Jay saying like, oh, well, if I do this now, maybe it'll curry favor for me next week. I think people were just like going along to get along, honestly. It's like Cam and Laurel are yelling at me to do this. Like, I'm going to do it. Like, well, okay, like whatever. This doesn't matter for me right now. And not necessarily being able to think 3-4 moves ahead. And I think it was a lot on Cara to like decide she's overhearing it. Then she sees it happen, that then she's able to like pull out these arguments. But you're right. Like it would have been better if she was making an appeal during the challenge to avoid it. I know we've been bouncing around out of order, but I do want to ask you, because my favorite scene of the episode was the boat scene. When we opened on that yacht, I was like, this episode is going to be amazing. How many dollars in 2024 dollars would you spend for like a 2-hour catamaran with this exact cast?
I think 2 hours, I would need maybe a little bit more than 2 hours. If you told me there was like 3 or 4, that would give me a good buffering of getting accustomed to these people and then being able to start talking. If it was like a 4-hour thing, there could be close to a comma involved to like have a good time with these people.
But you're the only fan, so it's not. I'm not talking about there's like 80,000 fans, and you're in there.
I need a wingman though. I wouldn't want to be the only fan. I would need like another fan as like
well,
the
a
buffer.
plus one. Emily comes with you, like, but
Fantastic.
you. I just mean like you are the only like you and your party are the only people who are invited on.
Yeah, it seemed like a fun time. It seemed like a great time. It seemed like a great vibe. People having a blast, loving all the cheersing. Felt like kind of sad for Brad. You know, he just missed that on the boat day. They poured one out for Brad, but everyone else is having a good time.
I like the way it's shot too. It's like GoPro or whatever, like selfie style footage, which just makes it more fun. It does seem like you're watching like old school, like Facebook albums or whatever from somebody's trip. But we do see like a subtle juxtaposition between like Leroy and Cam canoodling. We also got the Kingston FaceTime, which is very cute. And then we see Laurel and Nicole canoodling, which leads us to a conversation that felt maybe disjointed for me with Laurel and Cara of like, I think they're showing, not telling us that the volatility of the relationship between Nicole and Laurel is constant. Like, I'm glad we're not constantly seeing it on television, but I almost was taken aback when like Laurel was crying to Cara and Cara was kind of having a friend intervention with her about the relationship.
Yeah, because there was no moment before that spurred this conversation. Like, kudos, maybe this conversation happened weeks ago. I don't know, maybe they spliced it in here. I don't know, but it didn't feel like there was no fight, there was no argument that seemingly happened between Laurel and Nicole like right before this to spur this on. And I don't know, is the show, I'm torn what the show is trying to make us sympathize with, because based off everything how this played out, I don't know how you would not be on Cara's side, but I feel like they're trying to make Cara the villain through the edit, but how could you side with Laurel in this argument, in this discussion of Cara seemingly wanting to be like a good friend when Laurel wants nothing to do with her, and then it's trashing her to Nicole? I don't know what the show wants us to feel through this.
Yeah, and I think we had a similar conversation as between like Cam and Cara. I think here, I agree with you. Like, I don't think Cara is the villain. I think Cara is the person who's like heads in the game, who is like maybe one of the few people thinking about strategy and protective strategy more than I am, certainly. And I'm not in the game. And everybody else is like, she's the biggest threat. So I don't even think people are like, I hate Cara, besides like Nicole. But I don't think the motivation to get Cara out has ever been, we hate Cara. Well, we hate Cara. And Cam obviously like you know took a reason to start getting mad at her, but my sense is like general consensus, and why the men and the women work together to get her out in the challenge, is that she's the one to beat. And I wish they were maybe talking about her more openly like that. Laurel certainly is, but I think it would come off less like mean or villainizing if they would stop making it personal and just be like, Cara, we can't beat you. You have to go in 100 times out of 100, or we have to take the star from you and prevent you from going in. But I definitely don't think like Nicole and Laurel are getting any sort of hero edit.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't think so, but I don't think they're making Cara feel sympathetic to me, which would imply they're trying to make her the villain. But I guess if they're just presenting things how it would happen, it's kind of a complicated situation. Laurel and Cara, I still stand by as like my most interested dynamic of any duo in the history of the show. Like their ups and downs, their swings of emotions, their hatred, their love for each other, their hatred, their love for each other. Like I would stack them up against any other like male rivalry beyond that, because I think they're just such interesting people about how their history has gone. And this is just another chapter. I mean, we're coming up on our 10-year podcasting anniversary. Our first podcast we do, the first shot we have is a picture of Laurel and Cara on a couch, one of them seemingly about to cry about a fight they're probably about to get into. And 10 years later, we're still doing it. And they've had so many shifts in their relationship since then. In these 10 years, it's I can't get enough of each of them together as like a duo, because they're just so compelling as a duo.
And it is interesting because I don't know a lot of like what they do off season. Like Cara already got Brandon on her about their not real friendship. She gets hit with it again from Laurel. It's like, we don't even effing talk. You don't even know me, which Cara gets a lot of that, but that's not uncommon for people who are on the challenge to like
Yep.
not talk in the off season, only talk at summer camp. But one critique Laurel I think is right to get from Cara here, and Cara certainly doesn't have the best delivery in general, and certainly not throughout the episode. But Caitlin Glancy says, does Laurel know they are competing for stars to get to the final? Has she spoken about getting a star at all, except for that one time when she won the daily? Is Laurel truly too focused on the stuff with Nicole and her head's kind of out of the game? Or has she got a sleeper plan?
I mean, it is a fair point that Laurel is usually much more game focused and game oriented and not as distracted as with so much going on. That she's had other relationship flings and stuff like that in other seasons, but it's never, I feel like, taken her out of the game as much as other times. And honestly, maybe I don't think she's doing this intentionally, but it might be helping her a little bit, because if she's seen as kind of like the wacky Laurel and like out of it and not as focused on the game, maybe her threat level is dropping a little bit, as opposed to being like the menacing Laurel, who normally is that Cara spot of she's the biggest threat. We can't let her win, whether it's a solo elimination or duo elimination or duo wins. So I certainly don't think she's doing it purposely, but I think the result could be that it is kind of helping her a little bit that she's being sort of discounted amongst like this sea of people.
Totally. And then in comes Nicole. Is that Nicole's music? She comes in, and this felt like we missed a scene because Nicole came in so hot towards Cara. It seemed like Cara was openly talking about it or made a little comment or something. Like Nicole came in, I think, too hot about Cara, quote, talking about her personal business for that to just be like out of nowhere.
It did feel, the whole thing felt odd because while Cara has talked about their relationship kind of on their own, it started off feeling like Laurel went to her to kind of start the conversation. And I understand Laurel's sort of point of there are conversations that are meant to be more listening and not advice type situations. But I did almost feel like Laurel was asking for advice. It seemed like she was kind of like looking for feedback and what she should do. And Cara was like seemingly being like a good friend in like the situation of like, get your head in the game, especially for Cara, who is a competitor and would see Laurel as another competitor. Is like, I want you to be in the midst of a competition. Whereas Cara could have easily been like, oh, this is great. Laurel's out of the way. I don't have to deal with her. But she was like trying to like get her head in the game. And it really just threw me for a loop how so quickly Laurel flung it on her and Nicole doubled down on it. And then Laurel tripled down on Nicole. Like it felt like almost Laurel was like setting Cara up by having the conversation with her, just like start a fight. Like it was very bizarre, but Laurel's a bizarre person. So
it's true. And obviously not only do Cara and Laurel have a complicated history, but Nicole, Cara, and Laurel have a complicated, I almost said kistery, that would be appropriate, kistery. There was romantic interest between Nicole and Cara, and Laurel was jealous or a flirtation. So there's been sort of this messy triangle dynamic before between them.
Yep.
Obviously, that's not a part of it now for Cara, but like it's all in the background. And speaking of the background, like we've heard, offline that Laurel told everyone not to work with Cara. So
right.
It is extra bizarre to see her kind of chummy and use her for like emotional support, but then be part of the reason nobody's working with her.
Yeah, it's very emotionally manipulative from Laurel to Cara, while Laurel is being emotionally manipulated by Nicole. So it's just like a string of manipulation between these three, and it's not great, Bob.
And it's a bad look for Laurel to, at this point, like walk out of the kitchen and just let Nicole, go at it with Cara, and then later, like so profoundly defend Nicole to Cara. It's like, again, it's like hindsight's 2020, but I think Cara has a very prescient line when she's like, "You're gonna look back and regret this." And I think she did. I think that's fair to say.
That aged like the finest of wines. You can bottle that and sell that thing for $1,000 for sure. How well that takes aged.
All right, we talked about the challenge. I feel like there's an interesting BCR to be had between the colors, the polls, and then the Steve's favorite black balls.
Yeah, so there was a good array of colors. I think it was all like normal colors too. We had the black ones that are the kind of like the fake balls that those don't count for anyone. But I noted I think I missed the color, but I noted gray, blue, white, green, pink, yellow, and red, which all seem pretty standard for colors. And I think that's how they were called. There were no like lights or darks or like weird names for the colors. I think they were just like, oh, the red ball is out, the yellow ball is out. I think it was mostly normal colors. So good BCR there.
Those all feel pretty standard for colors. My issue is I just didn't know whose ball was whose. Like I really kind of was like, oh, this is cute. Honestly, good thing it was orchestrated, because I think if it was just a totally live situation, I don't know that I would have been able to like really follow what was going on.
Yeah. And then two other thoughts. Number one, on the color thing, they love to do like the inflatable head thing. I'm surprised they didn't make the balls the people's faces. So you're like, each instead of colors, you have like each person's face on the ball. I think that would have been fun. And then it's like the How I Met Your Mother with like the loud chewing. You've now ruined the silhouettes for me, because that's all I saw the whole time was the silhouettes of like who's in what group. I'm like, well, I'm able to like deduce the math of whose silhouette that is, and it's leaving me so perplexed as to why they're doing it. This is crazy. Why do they like tease who's gonna win and lose?
Thank you very much for joining forces on this one. Tina did trick me. I thought Tina was Avery, but otherwise, yeah, it's a terrible move. They really need to change this. The heads is funny. I thought they'd have the names, but a little cheapo depot, because they just needed to reuse the same balls, like heat to heat, maybe. I don't know.
I guess so.
We talked about, I do love Leroy going to camera and being like, it's crazy that we just told them to do this and they're doing it. Like, I love Leroy being like the voice of the audience of like, why is anyone listening to us?
And I think he got the producers to laugh. I heard some chuckling, and I don't think anyone was laughing in the room because I was alone. So hopefully it was on the screen.
But I do think, and we've already criticized this in general, but I just think this is a problem or a bigger risk, something like this, when there aren't multiple, everyone has the same incentive. Like when there's just one winner, you're not getting like the men who want the strong women at the final and the women who want the strong men at the final. So everybody's aligned, and it makes it even more easy for this to happen. I think like on a normal season, this would probably have gone a little bit differently.
Sure. That's fair. And look, again, if this was like something they were able to do week after week, and like there was no, like Big Brother was 17, 18 style where they were kind of manipulate every challenge, sure, that would be pretty bad. But for one time, this could have easily just played out as a normal daily. Like it was up to Cam and Laurel to like push this down and make it happen. So I'm fine with this kind of being a one-off thing that they can manipulate.
Sean Mesler wanted to talk about my favorite part of the challenge, which is Ace is dumb because he could have thrown his balls out to keep himself in the middle group, since he said he was trying to help Cara. I just absolutely loved Ace being like, I'm just throwing like Leroy's balls out, I'm throwing Steve's balls out, and like this is fun. I don't know what everybody else is doing. And it's like, yeah, Brad, like they want you to win, so you're making it so that you can just get the balls out.
Yes, Ace is growing on me, and his just like complete naivete of just like going through the daily, going through the life, not knowing what color couch he's sitting on. He's just there. He's just chilling.
Cara's response to all of this at first is that Cam will not, like you said, she tries to make like a play to Nicole during the balls, or she's like, Cam won't take your star, then I'll win this, I'll be safe, and Cam will take Veronica's star. That's like what she tries to do in the winner's heat. And Nicole starts going off about how selfish that she is. Mackenzie Zimdar says, is it just me, or is it really starting to feel like there's a huge disconnect between the way people talk about Cara and what is being shown that Cara is doing? Confessionals are noting she's shady, manipulative, playing selfishly, and spreading lies by almost the whole house. I feel like I've seen none of that play out. Is it an editing thing, or am I completely missing something?
I don't think you're missing something. I think Cara, no matter what she was doing, she is a very polarizing person. So like no matter how she plays it, she's gonna have people in the house that are coming after her and hating her. But the concept of her playing selfishly in a game that has one winner, where she is on her own on an island, how else is she supposed to play it? And like, did Nicole not play selfishly when she tossed herself into elimination to get a star, stealing it from someone else? Is that not playing selfish? Like, that concept is always just like really grinded my gears of like the concept of playing selfishly in a game, let alone with it could be multiple winners. But of course, you should be playing for yourself. Like that's the point of it. The only people in this house who should not be playing selfishly are Cam and Leroy because they can play for each other and help each other out. That's it. Everyone else should be playing selfishly.
Now, in a world where there was an alliance with Laurel, Nicole, Cam, and Cara, and Cam was going to go down and take Veronica's star, and Cara was like, I'd rather run a final with Veronica than Cam, so I'm going to get in the way of that. Could you say, hey, we're an alliance, you got yours, now you're being selfish? Sure, I still wouldn't critique it because, like, that's the game. But to call someone selfish for defending themselves against your plan to screw them is wild. Like, it's wild.
That's wild. And I do feel bad. Like I get like Nicole is hard to understand, but the constant reminder like you need subtitles like this at this point it's starting to feel like a low blow, and it's like there's plenty of other material. I'm sure you can come at Nicole and not just like how she speaks, that I'm sure it's not like up to her control. Like, this is just how she speaks. So like if anything, like I don't want to make Nicole like a sympathetic figure because she's certainly not. But the constant about like that is like a little much.
I agree. No, Cara definitely throws low blows. Like she does not come out super clean here either. I did like Cara's though last minute strategy at the challenge of like trying to go tip top toes with Nicole. It was giving Beth like maybe she'll hit me and then I'll be able to stay. Like,
I feel like we haven't had that. We haven't had that in a while. That's what I'm saying. That's why I really like this episode. I feel like we haven't had like a good old fashioned screaming match at a daily anywhere that like was like on the verge of like someone saying the wrong thing. They feel like they could have actually gotten someone to throw a shove, and in this day and age that could have been it to get someone out. So that was exciting. It was great.
Yeah, well, now if you hit someone, you don't just like come back at the reunion and then return like also through the last 20 years. I think if you hit someone now, you wouldn't get asked back. Is that canon? That's like the sense that I get.
I don't know. Well, they didn't like Fessel threw like a massive punch at Josh, right? And that's, he got asked back. So
that's true. All right. Tina, just like another segment of Dear Tina. Speaking of throwing punches, wearing a pineapple eye mask. Like I like used to have one with palm trees and I was desperate to find it to like wear it on camera. But she looks absolutely insane and she's like whispering and Veronica's like, I can't stand you. You're terrible at this game. But Laurel's the wrong audience. But I thought Miss Veronica was quite crafty with like dropping a little dust of like, if Tina goes in, you might not get what you want.
Yeah, I thought it was a very good pitch. I agree. Laurel, unfortunately, is the wrong audience. And it's very funny that Laurel's like, I don't do well with strong arming and blackmail when I can guarantee we can rewind the tapes. And there's been many of instances of the Laurel doing some strong arming and blackmailing. I think there was a whole list brigade. And it's like, well, I don't have you near the bottom, like the top of my list to get out. But if you do this, I don't know. I might just move you up. Like, I'm pretty sure she said those words in her time in the past. So, classic case of Laurel dishing it, but not taking it. But I thought Veronica had a decent pitch to try to save Tina here.
And maybe Veronica should have made that pitch to Nicole. Because I do think, Nicole even jokingly, or maybe not jokingly in nominations, like, pretends that she's maybe going to listen to Cara. Not like really, but she's like, right, it would be hard, but I'll listen. So maybe like as much as Laurel, I do think would sacrifice her own game at this point for Nicole, like maybe that would be more critical to Nicole to have heard.
Yeah. And Veronica has already had success manipulating Nicole in the past, very recent past of keeping out of elimination. So, why not try for two?
Very true. And then I just like this was another time when you're asking like who's the villain here between Laurel and Cara. When Laurel is like going to Cam to talk about taking her out. Now this was an amazing like boss moment between Cam and Laurel. Just like the visual of them talking about this was like two leaders of great nations like teaming up and being like, are we aligned here? Like, yes. But then Laurel immediately walks by Cara and is like, oh, do you want to talk? Like, why are you lonely? It's like, because you're being mean. Like that's what she's like.
I can't keep track of like Laurel is like doing that with like a malicious intent, or if she's just like that sort of like delirious as to like what she's like causing to Cara, or like she's such an enigma of a person and such a wild card that it's hard to like keep track of what Laurel's actions of like how much is it deliberate and how much of it is just she's just like a little socially awkward and doesn't like know how she's like making other people react to her. But again, that's why like Laurel and Cara, just put them on TV for the next 50 years and I'll be entertained. Because they'll be friends again. Give it enough all-star seasons, then they will be working back together.
I mean, they're not even like total. I mean, obviously she's working against her, but again, it's like it's almost like Wes and Bananas, or it's like you do it with a wink, but Cara's not in on it, you know? Like Laurel, I think you're right. It's like a lot of competing things. First of all, I think Nicole hates Cara right now. So Laurel wants to like be on her side with that. I think she does agree with Cam that Cara's like the biggest threat to win and she wants to win. And I do think she genuinely likes Cara, and while she hasn't seen her in a while or talked to her in a while, they have a connection. So it is a lot of like competing priorities with Laurel and Cara. Plus, she's probably, in some degree, has to stand behind the fact that she poisoned everybody allegedly against Cara. Right. And what would it say? Like she made it so that Cara couldn't create an alliance allegedly. So now if she tries to align with her, she'll just be on the outs also.
Yeah. No, that's very fair. Very fair.
All right. We talked about Cara's speech in the nominations. Again, I think it is very, very good. The pitch being that if Cara gets knocked out, Nicole's star will become the most easy to steal. And double down, if I ever get a chance, I'll take yours. I will not take Cam's. Don't think that I'm going to come and just like do your dirty work and take Cam out. We'll go back and forth, which I thought was very smart.
Yeah, it's smart, but I think Nicole and Laurel, they were so deep in the weeds of this plan. Like there's just no going back now. There's just no way they could have rescinded at this point. So it was, as she said, it was a Hail Mary. It's worth a shot. Other people haven't even tried something. So, and I do take her at her word that I think she would go after Nicole's star if given the chance over Cam. I think there's a lot more resentment there than there really is to Cam. I think Cam and Cara can easily get over this pretty quickly. I think there's just a lot more deep hatred, and I think it's like borderline on hatred between Nicole and Cara that I think she would go for her.
Totally. And then, yeah, I was going to say like, that you think now with Cam and Nicole, Veronica's is the most likely star to get stolen. And it's a good point that they're both insulated by like Jay and Laurel and Leroy, obviously. And, but like, don't you want Veronica to have a star? And wouldn't you rather go to a final with her over Nicole or Cam?
Probably, but I don't know. It doesn't seem like that's really being a focal point of this season. I mean, the fact that Jasmine had a star and like, she was tossed into elimination to like potentially lose her star. Like that goes to show like there's not that direct thought of like we have like a goat we have to bring. I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to see like if and when Laurel, because I would think that's like the next step in this process is like, all right, Cam got the star, solo from Cara. I would think going into next week, Laurel's headspace has to be all right. Nicole has one, Cam has one, Cara does not. Now it's time for me to get one. I would think she would be stealing Veronica's. Obviously, she's not going to steal Nicole's. It would be wild after all this if she just took Cam's star right away from her. That would be hysterical. But I would think she'd be going for Veronica, and Laurel's probably the leading contender amongst the women to get the next star. So,
well, it's going to be interesting, right? Because Cam's an interesting place. I took sort of the meeting of the great minds of the Challenge House to be sort of a 1 week deal. Like, Laurel's very clear in her terms. Like, I want Cara stripped of her star, and then I want Cara out. Are you aligned with me on this? And Cam's like, absolutely. Does that mean Cam wants Nicole and Laurel in those other two spots for the women? Maybe, but I would guess, you know, it doesn't benefit her. It doesn't benefit Leroy to run against Laurel. So
right.
Cam's in an interesting spot on the next girls' day of like, I want to look like I'm supporting Laurel so she doesn't take my star, but to the extent I could prevent her from going in, I'd like that to happen.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because I also could see Cam doing the whole Cara thing of trying to put Veronica now into a lot of eliminations because then whoever beats Veronica gets that star, or you know, Veronica wins, who knows what she would, move around with the star-wise. But I think Veronica is in a very, very dangerous state come next weekend. And she, like, almost the best thing that could probably happen is if she is in, like, the middle group. If we are to believe that, like, there will be one last chance for everyone to get a star, maybe come, like, the final week or whatever, like, I think Veronica's best chance is if her star is just stolen next week and she's not forced into going to eliminations, and then down the road she can be in the spot to take the last star. Because I think if the way it's set up now, she's be going into like 2 or 3 of the next women's eliminations.
Or I could see, like a man who has a star winning. Like, let's say Leroy wins, Cam still has a star. Does Leroy then take Laurel's star and give it to Veronica? Like, does she get a star towards the end
from a friend
defensively?
Yeah, that's possible.
All right, let's talk about the arena. A very cheeky name for the challenge.
Yeah, Ladies and the Tramp. TJ staring directly, obviously, at Tina while saying that. Very funny. So each person has to jump on a trampoline to get ahead of a wall to look at a puzzle key, and then recreate the puzzle key on their side. Very importantly, I think they didn't really say this, but it was played out this way. The answer key's back was to the audience, so there was no audience intervention, nothing they could do. They just had to sit there and watch and bite their nails.
Yeah, I'm glad that's been kept consistent, but I'm pretty down on this challenge only because to me it's the exact same challenge we saw last week. It's a little bit different, but it's basically something endurance connected to something just remembering an image and putting it together. So it's not a puzzle. I feel like Rourke would get after that. It's not a puzzle. Like looking at something and recreating it does not make it a puzzle.
Right.
I'm fine that they have a little bit of physicality in it, but I'm kind of tired of seeing this formula. Like, can we not see something even remotely physical? Like I would see that old coconut challenge where it was like trivia, but they had to scrap for the correct coconut. Like just something a little bit more physical for these eliminations would make me feel like this isn't like a diet version.
Yeah, I thought the trampoline aspect was fun. I feel like we haven't seen something like that in a while, and I honestly didn't even put it 2 and 2 together. This is like basically just what they did last week. I wonder if we can almost track when there's like a guys' day and a girls' day, if they try to keep the eliminations very similar in like the combo pack of like the 2 weeks. I don't know if they try to do that, but yeah, I didn't even kind of think about that. But yeah, I like the trampoline aspect. But what did you think of? I mean, so obviously one of the key points of the leading to the vote was what Avery was going to do. And Avery decides not to throw herself down. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think this really should have been Avery's challenge. It's like, who did we think that of? Like Derek, and we definitely thought of Nicole, and she went in and did it. I think this was Avery's best chance. I think she probably had. I would guess that Cam had her bases covered on that, and Cam and Adam and Leroy have a good relationship. We saw that like weird barbershop scene a couple episodes ago. So maybe she just felt like, I promised Cam it was her time and I'm not going to go in, but I think that's foolish here, seeing the challenge.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I thought this was you couldn't have really have scripted almost a better matchup for Avery to go against Tina in like very much like an endurance thing. Tina was obviously tiring out by the time it got down to it. I mean, based off where they stood with the puzzle, Tina, I think, still had like 2 full rows to even get to. And was like tiring out to finish like the bottom row. So I see no reason why Avery couldn't win. I think she just was probably a little intimidated by Cam and didn't want to like put that heat on her of, taking Cam's spot and then feeling the heat of who she would go against. But I think even if Avery wins, I think if she, takes Veronica's star, for instance, Cam still wants her star. She's still going after Cara. I think this would have been a really good spot that Avery could have had like a good buffer of the Cara star still out there. And all of a sudden you're like one daily away from the final, maybe.
Yeah. But then, I mean, with the exception of Cam wanting to go in, and she'd certainly go in against you if you being Avery, if the situation allowed for it after that. But then she is in that potential Veronica spot where she's going in every time, except for potentially Cara versus Cam in the next one. But yeah, I agree. I think she should have taken the shot. Again, I think there had to have been a conversation. Well, either Avery's just intimidated, which is definitely possible, or there's something working in the background, like Leroy, former rivals, Leroy and Avery. Like, I will get you a star. Like, we will do everything. You'll have our votes. You'll have our support. Just like, also maybe there's something in like Leroy and Cam and Laurel scripted her even winning that challenge. So maybe they're like, we're going to have you win, but you have to let me go in. And she's like, oh, okay, whatever.
And is this maybe where Cara should have focused her attention? I know the Hail Mary, she tried to do a Hail Mary at the nomination. Should she have been working Avery all day, being like, I got your back. Like, you help me keep my star here. I'll do what I have to do if I'm in the bottom or I'm the voting or I win. Like, I can do whatever. And I think that would have been the better Hail Mary shot to really focus her attention on Avery to go in rather than trying to change up the vote.
No, I think that's right. I think that's a great point. And Avery also doesn't like Tina. So they have some history there that from this season. Kieran and Cassidy raised a good point about the challenge here. One little nitpick about the elimination. They really should have adjusted the walls for height. I realize the trampoline you can get more height if you need it, but Cam only needed tiny little jumps while Tina was having to make pretty large jumps with great form, in my opinion, which takes a lot more energy.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. I don't know if they know, because there's a lot of other eliminations that you can adjust for body type and other things. So I think this, like, some eliminations play more when you're short, others play more when you're tall. So they play more when you're bigger or smaller. This is kind of like, I feel like this is just a luck of a draw type thing, and it just plays more to taller people.
Yeah, a tweet from Tina about this. Tina said, Killer Cam killed my guts on that damn trampoline. So much more to that elimination that ended on the cutting room floor, which I can't imagine what else.
What else could have been involved?
They showed TJ on the trampoline. That was there.
Was it 2 out of 3 or something? I don't understand.
And Tina also said, I couldn't get high enough to see over that wall. So confirmed.
But I don't, again, I think with the trampoline, I think that's more on like Tina's endurance than the height aspect of it. So I think that's more on her.
There you go. All right. So Cam demolishes. I was happy for Cam. It was a very well executed plan by her. She came through. Leroy was so adorable, like doing sympathy jumping. And then I was like, what if she took Veronica's stuff? Like, wouldn't it be so unexpected?
That would be very funny. That would be.
So here's a question, because Cam, is talking about how Cara's been spreading lies about Leroy and Cam. So once again, Cara deserves it. Sean Mesler says, what lies is Cara spreading about Cam and Leroy?
Yeah, it's a great question, because I don't know. Again, there's a lot of things you can say about Cara. Obviously, you can just point to the big threat aspect of it. You can say maybe she's manipulating different things, that she got her way in other votes, like, sure. But I don't know what she's lying about with Cam. Unless, like, was Cara saying that the only reason Cam wants Cara is just she's scared of her, and like that's the lie? But I feel like Cam has kind of said like she's the biggest threat and I want her out also, amongst other things. So I don't know what the lie is, but that's a very easy just to like say as the buzzword. Cara's a liar.
So I think the lie, because Cam does say like, I never even said I was going to take her star. Like, she just said that. So now I will. I think maybe the lie is that like Leroy and Cam would take her star. Like every week she's like, I'm going to be the most in jeopardy because they're going to take my star. But I think it's a real stretch to call that a lie.
Yeah. She's playing selfishly, obviously. Cara, how dare she? Playing selfishly. You got to get her out.
All right. Should we get to the music before we, just as a teaser, a little social media and a little VPR minute maybe?
Ooh, yeah, let's do it. All right. We got the song for this week. Again, if you want to see the full lyrics, got to join the Facebook group. It'll be in there.
Oh, Michelle Marshy asked me specifically to ask you what chatbot or whatever are you using? What AI tool?
This is my own creation. I create this on my own. No, it's called Suno, Suno.
Not a sponsor.
Suno. I think it's suno.ai. But yeah, that's the AI bot. All right, this song is called "Thrown into Chaos." It's a different genre this week. I wanted to mix it up.
Oh wait, sorry. Do you select the genre?
I could pick. I say like pop song, country song, hip hop
Okay.
song. I can like put in the beginning. So this is a country song.
In a small town where the gossip flies, Tina's elimination took everyone by surprise. Cam's plan played out, stealing Cara's star. Now there's tension running near and far. On the daily challenge, they ganged up on her. Cara felt the heat as the drama did occur. Laurel and Cara's friendship now in doubt. In this small town, rumors spread about. Thrown into chaos, this town can't hide. Whispering voices, secrets they confide. Small town drama, tearing friendships apart. This country song is the matters of heart.
Thrown into chaos.
So I think that was the best song. Like that was the most listenable song.
Mm-hmm.
What I also liked is that they kept calling it a small town. Like what? It just reminds me, what small town was the season filmed in again, Brian? Do you remember?
It's South Africa.
There you go. Okay.
I don't know the city.
Small town,
Small town of South Africa. The big a big funnel for below deck yachties. South Africa. Everyone comes from there.
Yeah, that was beautiful. Thank you for that. Flora's continued to be on one on Instagram. No, I meant thank you for the song. Not like, but yes. Oh, what was that guy's name? Joao. He was South African.
I think there's a lot. I mean, there genuinely are a lot of. Every time there's a new deckhand, it's usually from South Africa.
So Flora said. So there was a big thing on Challenge Mania, Tina. And thanks to everyone in the Facebook chat who's helping me track the flora of it all. Because last week I missed her Instagrams because she'll just post like a selfie that has nothing to do with the challenge, and then her caption will just be like spitting hot fire about Tina. So thanks to the crack team in the Facebook group helping out here. So Challenge Mania, Tina was on Challenge Mania, and she made her like name on the Zoom or whatever Tampon Tina, because Flora says. That is why I called Tina Tampons Ina. I think it's a perfect name for her because of her insertion into every situation and every hole that she could stick herself into, which I have some questions about how Flora is using tampons. I think it's a perfect name and it will go up. She will be famous for that name. Marketing major, and what I did for many years is I created marketing material and names for companies. So you are welcome, Tina. You can come out with a tampon line called Tampon. It's like she used Sonu to write this like .ai. Tina then responded, "Thank you. I'll take it. I will admit it has a ring. Did you obtain that degree in marketing? And where did you study?" This is posted to the challenge Reddit.
This is
Shout
incredible.
Out. So then Tina tweeted what I consider to be like a blind item. I'm not really sure. Glaringly obvious word that comes to mind is, quote, emotional blackmail. It is a very effective ploy that people use to manipulate. Effective when played in a herd. Hashtag Tina's thoughts. Hashtag the challenge officers for. My rebellious thinking always has me at odds with the majority. Like, are people using AI? Like, are people going to ChatGPT and be like, what would I say if I stood out from the crowd in a reality TV game?
It's a great use of AI. Maybe I should do that for my own tweets sometimes. Like Rupert Bot, get a little Cohen Brian _bot. How can I not get canceled this week?
And then Tina also said, I am and will always have that hashtag road rule spirit. If I ride with you, I die with you. Come at me and I will turn you into a speed bump. Hashtag Tina's thoughts. I didn't know that I had a road rule spirit, but I align with that.
It is pretty amazing that Flora is still going, because usually we see people like the new person that comes on All Stars that has been on the show in a while, as we saw with Keyflow, that the first chance you get, they're usually thrown in no matter how good of a competitor they are. It's kind of amazing. Here we are, 8 episodes in. Flora has not seen elimination. She's kind of kept herself out of the bottom group a lot of times. Like, she's kind of doing the whole like Jay Battle of the Exes thing where she's like clearly a layup, but has never come in last, is not purposely going in, is not doing anything to force yourself in. And she might just like show up and like on the verge of the finale. And like, here we are. Flora's still here.
All right, maybe this next tweeter will just barely edge out Flora in the finale. Derek Chavez tweeted, P.S. Thanks for all the love I've gotten this last week. Makes a boy feel great. Hope everyone's enjoying #the Challenge All-Stars. I just wanted to read that because much like Flora, at least Flora got a scathing remark in on the episode this week. Derek, not in it after the boat.
It's a great point. We've had a lot of like Derek dominating confessionals, not him dominating confessionals, people saying Derek is dominating in confessionals, and we need to get a hint of it here. So worried about the next visibility spike for Derek, about what that might mean.
I think we have like maybe a new concept of like a Derek watch brewing here where like you'd never see them, but like we hear about him all the time.
Yeah.
And like, why? Is that the version of a challenge winners that is? Like, is that the Derek watch?
I mean, it started from the second the season like was officially announced because he made the poster. Like, again, like if you think about all like the big names from this season, and it's like there's Derek, boom, top right corner. Usually now I think he's the face that I've been taking over when you do the post in the Facebook group, but he's there. And it's amazing that he was on the Facebook group and It's amazing he was on the promotional photo. And it's kind of interesting to see his ride this season.
Yeah, it is interesting because let's look at the rest of the poster. And I'm not going to look at other posters to see if there's any like Survivor DVD cover style like spoilers. Right. But the poster is Cam in the center, Leroy and Derek flanking her in the largest spots. Then lower down, Cara and Rachel flanking Brad, taking the center, south center position, and then little Avery and little Tony. And yeah, this does capture probably all of the people are most excited to see return who like were either retired or haven't been there in a while, and Derek and Brad. You know, everybody else is like, oh, wow, you got Rachel to come back, you got Tony to come back.
Even Brad makes sense because again, his presence just feels so all-stars-y. Like he is like that old school person that like, all-stars, like a throwback. Oh, Brad's there. Like a lot of people that have fallen off the challenge in the last like 10 years be like, oh, I know Brad. Put him on the poster. But again, like Derek, it's just odd that he made the poster and this is what he's doing. Like you didn't even say Laurel, right? Like Laurel wasn't on the poster.
Laurel's not on the poster.
Yeah, like that's odd.
Big slay. I'm gonna just take another brief look because while Kifla and Flora haven't been on in a while, Brandon, whatever, Janelle obviously from All Stars, but they don't have like the recognition, I think, in like in the fandom to get that excited about it. Oh no, I opened a YouTube video. All right, let me stop doing things live. All right, before we get to the VPR minute, I just the Facebook group's popping off. It's great, but we've declined to plug our 5-star reviews. So I haven't gotten a 5-star review in a long time. It's the reason we're doing video. So if you liked a video, let us know. The comments on YouTube are really fun, but don't forget those reviews.
Yes, I know there's a lot of places to like comment and do things, but the old school roots of this show were the podcast 5 stars. So could we toss together a quick goal? Have you checked it? Like what our numbers?
I don't feel secured that we could reach a goal, but
so
let's see.
The goal is whatever we have. Add 5. Let's get
add 1. Let's just add 1. Be beautiful. We are here. It has been interesting. Let's get a mid-season feedback on doing video podcasts, Brian.
Yeah, I don't mind it as much. I thought I would like hate the concept of like making sure I was like presentable, but then I realized I just kind of wear a t-shirt every time, so I really don't care. So that's not as bad. Even like staring at the screen is not as bad. I know I look off. I still have to do that in much of months, so I don't care. I don't have TVs on anymore, so I have to adjust to that. So it keeps me more focused.
Slay. Yeah, I definitely feel like I don't get ready for the podcast, obviously, but it does make geography challenging, like, because then I had to be away for an undetermined amount of time. So it does out you when you are not at home. It's like, no one try to rob me. The doorman will stop you. But that all worked out. So it's fine. It's fine, but it does take slightly more planning. So
we've had some other comments being like, oh, I love seeing you guys on video. So we do it for them. Happy for them.
Shout out them. All right. Let's talk about the VPR minute. Did you watch the second part of the reunion?
Yes, I did. Something about her opened. They got that cooking. Some interesting names showed up. Some interesting names did not.
Dropped a
Sheena,
goss. What was this? A
Sheena,
blind item? What are you?
Sheena was
Demois?
Sheena was not there. Schwartz gave a nice shout out. I don't think he went there, but he gave a nice shout out on his Instagram story. Our girl Stassi and Bo were there. Andy Cohen was there. Lindsay Hubbard was there.
Do you think that something about her flew Andy out private?
I don't think so. No, I think he wanted to.
Did you catch that in the reunion?
I did.
Like,
I did.
That was just for anyone who didn't watch. Lisa asked if he'd come to the opening of Wolf, and he's like, "You gonna fly me out?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." And he's like, "Private?" And she's like, "Jeez."
Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be at again, we're still waiting for like when they watched the last part of the reunion, because there was a line that last part of the finale at the reunion, but there was a line that Ariana said about Lala, like, "Oh yeah, like I feel like Lala's always kind of had my back," or like, it does suck that, like, again, I think we talked about this last week in this VPR minute, but I understand why Ariana didn't want to watch the season, but I hate that she didn't watch the season for the concept of the reunion. I kind of feel like, again, like, I get why she didn't, but it's like, this is like your job. It feels like you should have to watch the show. I know you can't make them, but it's like,
I think you can.
Everything. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I am made to do work. Like that. People make me do work at my job all the time.
Yeah.
Rob could make you watch the challenge show. I think that's probably in our contract that you actually watch the episode.
That's true. That could be interesting if I just try to do it without watching. But yeah, like, I mean, it's tough because it makes sense why she wouldn't want to relive it, but also it's like, this is what's paying your bills and everything. Wouldn't you want to show up knowledgeable? We get on Jax all the time. Jax never watched the show, and that was a joke, and they made him look even stupider at the reunion. Don't be like Jax.
Honestly, you have enough people who work for you. You have enough friends, your boyfriend, whatever. Have a friend watch the show and give you the notes about like what you need to have seen. Like do Cliff Notes VPR, because listen to a podcast that recaps it. It's just like it does detract, and it's probably the only thing that would make me not leave her side, but it's the only like point against her in the column of what like Lala is saying about her. That she's not like prioritizing the show. But honestly, I just think nothing happened in this second part. Like, literally not one piece of information. Good on Joe that she got to kind of come out and have Katie apologize, but I wasn't thinking about that. It just like, I don't think it needed to be an hour. So
no, this could have been a 2-part reunion. They could have shrunk the first 2 parts into one, and then like maybe extend what happens in part 3. Could be a more useful episode.
What do you think about like, I guess you said it, like why you think they're saving the end, that it's so that Ariana can see like Lala kind of like burning her down a little bit in that overall montage. I also was wondering, I definitely think it's that. I also was wondering if it has anything to do with like Tom's like quote unquote hot mic moment of like, that looks good for me after so Ariana's going to get upset and Lala's going to look stupid for defending Tom.
Yeah, I think it's got to be for that. It's not. I don't think Ariana's going to get more upset about the Tom hot mic moment just because like she already hates his guts anyway.
No, just about Lala. Just about
but I think hopefully you'll see like Sheena react to like something like that and be like, "Oh my god, I'm an idiot. I can't believe I fell for him again." But yeah, I think it's about seeing Lala's speech and like everyone's almost siding with Tom a little bit. But I still don't even think that last scene was that overly big. Like I feel like Lala's kind of made these points in different parts throughout the season, and then she made it like one sixing package at the end. But it wasn't like some jaw-dropping thing that it's like, oh my god, wait till this happens. But like if Ariana had watched the entire season, and like I think what they probably did in like the last 3 episodes or whatever, like I don't think this last bit would have changed anything. Maybe they're doing it because she hasn't watched the show and they're like, oh, we have to like show her this could be our gotcha moment.
I agree with you. I think it's not really such a reveal. It wasn't really a reveal to the audience. It's sort of how Lala's been in handling it. And I just think Lala made a massive miscalculation to kind of talk in such a meta way about how she really needs the show to support her kids, which she does, and that's valid. And that like her anger comes from other people like not playing ball. It's not playing the same way as it does on Housewives, where it's more of a discussed story of like PK and Dorit, you're not sharing your real story. Kyle, you're not being real. Like that's more
Right.
of like how the housewives go at each other. It just kind of takes me out of it for Lala to be so like desperate to keep the show going and for that to sort of be the source of her storyline.
And there's some like bad quotes now coming back because of how much, especially Sheena and Lala talked about the Scandal stuff in their podcasts, and like they were very much, as seemingly you should be, Team Ariana in the beginning, and that the things they were saying are now quite different. I think there was one specific thing about like hanging out with Sandoval. They were all like, yeah, Ariana, like I think it was when Shorts was like still hanging out with him, and they were Sheena and Lala were like, yeah, like Schwartz has to understand if he still hangs out with Sandoval, Ariana's not going to be friends with you, and you have to respect that. That's her boundaries, and how could you not respect that? Not hold it up too great.
The money dried up on the send it to Daryl merch, and now we got to keep the show going.
There we go. So your pulse take right now, do you think this is it on Tuesday? We're never going to see these people again in the VPR format?
I think it's possible that we get another season. I don't think we should get another season. I would say it's like 70-30 we get another season.
What's funny is I'm actually more interested in another season now than the season that they just aired. Like I think I understand why they wanted to film the immediate stuff with Sandoval, but I think by the time it aired, it's almost like All Stars. Like so much has changed that it kind of made it so obsolete. Like I think if they were going to do what they did, they needed to almost shorten the time frame of filming and get that out quick. That this needed to air like last winter and like just pop it out for like 8 episodes and just do a quick season and then kind of reset, because it's so different, everyone's feelings now from where it was filmed. So I think that's almost more what they need to do, almost do like what Jersey Shore does, where it's like you're almost constantly filming and you're just like regurgitating new episodes and seasons throughout the time, and it's just not like a set format, because the way these people's lives change so much now, like they need that. Like the fact that something about her is not even like filming, like that feels like it's weird that's not being filmed right now. And like, oh, who's not there? Oh my God, I'm sure Ari and Katie are talking about like, why isn't Sheena like here? Like that should be like on camera. Like that should almost be what the show is now. It's like a full like a year-round film, but not like obviously a year-round. Like you pick and choose big events and you film around that and you take break, like things like that. That more should be what the show is.
Yeah, I wonder how expensive these people are getting. That like that's prohibitive. But I mean, Jersey Shore is probably more expensive. So
you would think so.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely on life support for sure. We'll see what happens. I had one more thing I wanted to say about it, but I totally forgot. Oh, I do want to say on the flip side, shout out to West and Sierra from Summer House for being the only people on Bravo to keep their update a secret for the reunion. Like, I don't want to know.
Crazy.
I don't know if they're together, but like, shout out to them, because I do feel like Vanderpump Rules and a lot of these shows are like run into the ground by we live their life publicly and then we watch a year later or 6 months later the incident that we're already over happen. So shout out to Sierra and West.
Love that. Summer House, #1 show on Bravo right now. They're the number one guy in the group.
Slay. Is that fact, or is that your Brian Cohen's ratings? Also a BCR?
No, I think VPR is getting higher ratings. I mean, I think they said Summer House, they've had like their highest ratings ever, but I think VPR, I would imagine, is still getting higher ratings. But that's just my speculation. I don't know.
And what's exciting about that is obviously I think Carl and Lindsay brought a lot of eyes of like that was successful in the way of like a Scandal. Like they're gonna break up. Now watch it. You know, I kind of like wish I didn't know that, but in watching it, it was successful to like watch how the breakup happens. But my favorite parts of Summer House are like the new people. So I think that's got a lot of gas left in the tank.
It's wild that people are like, oh, who's going to stay on the show? Carla or Lindsay? Who's going to stay? Like, what are they talking about? Both of them are going to stay. This is their jobs. What are they talking about? This is like great for them as like storylines going the next or this coming summer. Then when they film is like them interacting. Like, that's crazy talk that people think one of them were going to leave the show. That's wild.
I mean, they stayed the last time they broke up.
Yeah.
I know it's different, but yeah, agreed. All right. That was
That's
exciting.
Bravo
minute.
Bravo 10 minutes. All right. You could subscribe. robwebsite.com/challenge feed. Follow me on TikTok, challenge wrap ups, Twitter, Cohen Brian _. Follow you.
You can only catch me in the Facebook group. But NGOG is back. New Girl,
Yes.
Old Guy. Find it wherever your podcasts are sold for free.
When's that going
And
on video?
Never. But it was back. It was a fun one. Listeners are saying it was great. So check it out. We had to do it in 3 parts over 2 days. So you really
What
get a
we used to
journey.
We used to
This
do
was
that type of
because
stuff.
Noam came in, Kiva's son, and derailed the podcast, a kid after my own heart. And we ran out of time and had to resume on another day.
Amazing.
Check it out.
Fantastic. All right. We will be back next week for episode 9. Until then, have a good one.